serious parents of Reddit. What's something your kids do without realizing it hurts your feelings? My 12-year-old son basically ignores me as much as he can. It's puberty and it's all normal, but a year ago I was still his favorite person and now it's all about his friends, girls, and video games. And I'm the uncoolest person on the planet apparently. I made him go for a walk with me and the dog the other day, just to try to have some conversation, and he said, "Why do you make me do things that make me unhappy?" To which I responded, "Spending time with me makes you unhappy?" And he said yes. I told him he could turn around and go back home then, and he did. I cried the whole way to the dog park. My almost 3-year-old twins often tell me I'm not invited to their birthday party. My 5-year-old daughter said she wanted a new mommy because I don't have a pretty face. She didn't realize it would be hurtful, I guess. I don't know if these happen all over the country, but in the South they have these father/daughter dances in elementary school. I always thought they were ridiculous and a little creepy, so I had zero interest in ever going to one. But I have daughters, so I knew there was a chance I would end up at one of these abominations at some point. I never made my opinion known to my girls, just something I would gripe to my wife about from time to time. My oldest daughter came home one day with a flyer for the daddy-daughter dance, and she was pumped to go. I thought to myself, great, here we go. But I sucked it up and pretended to be just as enthused as she was to go. I was dreading it, but honestly I would endure much worse to see my girls happy. A couple of days before the dance, my daughter asked my wife to take her to get a nice dress and shoes. My wife told me later that I really need to take this seriously because it was all she had been talking about for a week. I figured I would go along with it, and if she was going to look great, damn it, so was I. So I went out and bought myself a nice outfit for the affair, complete with shoes and everything. I rarely buy myself anything, so I just knew the gesture of her seeing me wearing new clothes would give her a big kick on the day if I hid my clothes, so they would be a surprise. The more excited she got, the more I looked forward to it. Maybe I had judged the dance too harshly, and it's nice to go out and have fun with your daughter. It started to dawn on me that maybe we don't do enough together, and it made me feel I really need to spend more time bonding with her. I felt like maybe I was kind of a crappy dad and this dance would be the beginning of turning over a new leaf. I found myself actually excited for this goddamn dance. I couldn't believe it. The day if I rush home and get all ready, and then I come out and she's dressed super nice and she's beaming when she sees my new outfit. Mom took a bunch of pictures and we were all set for a great time. We arrived at the dance and I'm looking at all the other dads in jeans and t-shirts and I'm thinking, my kid must be so proud of her dad. We go into the gym where music was playing and everyone was congregating. I give my daughter a giant hug and say I'm so happy we came. She says to me, "Oh hey, that's my friend over there, I'm going to say hi." My daughter never came back the rest of the dance. I stood there on the wall watching every other dad in jeans and a t-shirt dance with their daughters and mine never did. She didn't say a word to me, just hung out with her friends. When her friends went to dance with their dads, she just hung out with whoever wasn't at the time. I stood there in my outfit listening to song after song, embarrassed and sad. The longer the dance went on and the more songs meant to be about dads and their daughters, the sadder I got. To the point at the end I was fighting back tears. I had stood in the same place for 2 hours because I didn't want to move in case she came looking for me, but she never did. At the end of the night she told me about how much fun she had with her friends. I tried my best to act like I had fun too. She was completely oblivious as to me being a wallflower the whole night, said I was forgotten. When I got home I went to my room and locked the door and cried. She had no idea she was hurting me that night, and I kept it that way. It's not the best memory. When I drop them off at a party or day camp and I go to say bye, they've already gone off with friends. Kids are getting older now, so it's not cool to kiss or hug dad goodbye, but man, it stings. And I sure don't want to embarrass them, so I just sadly walk to my car. I'm divorced with split custody. My ex has a large extended family that lives nearby, and they are always together, letting the little cousins all play together. My family is the exact opposite, live hours away and nobody young to have playdates with. So, Weekly my 5-year-old cries when it's time to go to my house because it's not as fun as dad's. I'm on a budget and can't afford to take her out every week to the zoo or movies. Every single dollar is budgeted. It makes me cry often when I see how excited she is to go to his house because mine is boring. I just want her to know that I'm trying. Last year my wife spent the whole summer making it as great as she could for our then 6-year-old. Holidays, theme parks, everything she could. They did loads together. Got a phone call at work from wife crying/furious. At the end of it going back to school, she'd asked what she had enjoyed most. The day trip to London. Only problem was that was with me. At Easter. Still it was an absolutely awesome day. I'm a very old dude who usually lurks Reddit. I made an account to comment on this post. I wish I could say I had a lot of influence in the raising of my girls, but that wasn't the way that things turned out. I did a lot of dumb crap, as did my ex-wife. She was in prison for a stint, and I was in and out of prison throughout my daughters' lives. My younger 2 daughters were raised by my ex's dad, while my oldest daughter was raised by my dad. Their lives were polar opposites, that is for sure. My ex's family came from money. Our family had money and lost it all. We lived in about as much damn poverty as is possible. Rock bottom. Didn't help I wasn't around to contribute much. I wasn't allowed to see my 2 younger girls much. Their grandpa hated my guts. I understood that. I did not understand the way they treated my dad. He was the most hardworking and honest man I ever knew. If something was broke, he was over there at your house with tools to fix it without even needing to ask. Never was late to anything in his life. I remember we had all the girls over once for 4th of July. We were grilling up some burgers on a brand new grill. Spent more than we should have on this. But we didn't see them all together very often. A lot of whining on my 2 younger girls' part. They'd rather go to McDonald's. We had Mr. Pip instead of Dr. Pepper, and so on. But what got me was when one of my younger daughters said, "We want to go home. Your house is dirty," and oldest daughter doesn't have any good toys. I'm damn glad my dad was almost deaf at that point, because hearing that would have broken his heart. My oldest daughter did hear though. She was about 8 at this time. I'll never forget the look on her face. There weren't any tears or embarrassment. She just looked blank, staring off into space. There were other stories and moments like those. Too long to write. Eventually my 2 younger daughters changed their last name from mine to their grandpa's. They stopped accepting contact from my dad and me. Presents for birthdays and Christmas were returned. The feel-good part of the story comes from my oldest. She's an adult now. I knew when she was little that her other grandpa and sisters were bribing her with toys and with their nice house. She would come home and tell my dad or me if I was around. The response I had at that time was, "Is that so?" No more, no less. I did get up the courage to ask her why she stayed with dad instead of going to live with her sisters. When she was older, she said to me, "I felt like Papa had nothing else to live for. I wanted to stay because I knew he loved me and needed me around. I loved him too. He was always trying his hardest up until the day he died." I knew even back then that was more honest than people who gave me new toys and would ask me if I would rather live with them. I feel like I have to point out that my dad lost all his money because he spent hundreds of thousands trying to save my mom. Diabetic coma. I was in prison at the time and they wouldn't let me out to say goodbye. He spent all the money we had and sold the lake house trying to keep her alive. After she passed, he was a shell of man. The only time I did see him even remotely smile after that was when he was looking after my oldest. So what she said hit me deep. Let me tell you, she is my pride and joy. I wish I could have given her more, but I know my dad made up for it. Even though there wasn't much to give, she appreciated everything even as a kid. She's smart as a whip, got a full ride scholarship, taught me how to use the internet and type on the keyboard. She was hit by my dad's death hard. Harder than me maybe. But she is strong. Pretty. Even though I let her down, she's always been there for me. Through my heart disease, my damn broken hip, I lost my balance and hit my head pretty hard a few years ago, and she flew out here to take care of me. A lot of hell in our lives, but she beat all the odds. My other daughters, well, they would like to pretend I'm not their dad. I know I will get mad on for saying so. but the feeling is mutual. I feel like given every opportunity they have managed to squander and waste it. They are entitled brats. The way they treated my daughter, my dad. I know my oldest was trying to get close to them. Crap hit the fan when they came asking what they got out of my dad's will after he died. He had nothing but the house we lived in and the clothes on his back. Gave every damn dime to raise my oldest. They returned every present and letter he ever sent them, and they come asking for handouts. I've never seen my oldest daughter snap until that moment. Guess she managed to get my temper after all. I know I didn't have much influence in any of my kids' lives. Maybe I have no right to be proud. So I thank my dad who sacrificed everything for my daughter. Thank you for raising her to be a damned good woman. Also thanks to anyone who wasted the time to read this old guy's ramblings. We miss you, Dad. R.I.P. When my daughter gets a night terror at night, she will tell me crying that she wished I died instead of mommy. She hasn't done it for a couple of months now, but it hurts more than I can bear. I calm her down and get her back to sleep and usually go to my room and cry. My 4.5 years old daughter screaming I hate you and I don't want you as my father anymore during a tantrum or after I discipline her. She has no idea what she's saying and she doesn't mean it, but it still stings every time. Basically toddler cussing. My teenage son came across some old wedding photos that his dad had put away for him at his office. When his stepmom discovered these photos, she became upset, so my son threw them away to avoid the drama. These photos were 24 years old. There are no duplicates and my son doesn't understand why I'm upset that he didn't just bring them to me. I'm a long-time widower. Me and my son were left alone and used to be really close. After he moved to college, he used to call every day. I lived for that phone call. Gradually they started decreasing from once on 2 days to once a week. Now he has a girlfriend and rarely talks to me. I sometimes watch his Instagram and feel sad. I wish he would call more. When my son begs me to help him make something in the garage and then in the middle of explaining to him how we are going to do it, asks me if he can go play Minecraft instead. Before your boring comments, we were designing a fidget spinner in CAD to print on the 3D printer. He was doing the work himself. When they reference my wife's boyfriend about anything, hurts every time. We are not even divorced. She has listed him as a parent on forms. I like Dad. He's more fun. Look, I don't like being the disciplinarian either, but I feel like I have to sometimes. Sucks to be seen as a less preferred parent for doing something I wish I didn't have to do in the first place. Every morning as a kid I was always woke up to the sound of my mom singing. It was her way of wake up, it's time for school. I'd sometimes wait beside my door or pretend to sleep just to listen to her more. When I was 10, I was in a bad mood and my mom was singing while driving. I yelled at her, "Stop singing. You don't even sound good." She stopped singing after that. Right now he's a toddler, so he's just hardwired to be a bit of a jerk. But it bothers me when I get him up in the morning or come home from work and he doesn't want to hug me or tell me about his day at all. Also, he begs me to play with him, but when I do he generally takes whatever toy I'm using or tells me I can't do that. Both of my kids make a lot of comments about my body and some of them can sting. Last week my 5-year-old said my arms were like bags of cookie dough. When my daughter was 5, I let her watch The Lion King. She's a fairly emotional little thing, so we were concerned about how she'd react to the death of the father. We get to the scene, and I'm watching her carefully, but there's no big reaction. This is a kid who cries during some commercials. Anyways, I don't beg the issue and let it roll. Later in the movie she asks where Simba's dad is, and I think, here we go. I pause the movie and talk with her about how he died in the stampede. Her reaction: what's the big deal? He still has his mom. Ice cold. One Halloween when my son was like 4, our little nuclear family went to a corn maze for fun. To make things a little more exciting, the proprietors had also set a tippy with a giant pumpkin inside. You were supposed to go into the tippy and make a wish on the pumpkin. So we sent my son in make a wish and he says, "I wish it was just me and mommy and daddy was at work." My heart shrank 3 sizes that day. He's 20 now and is still mortified with guilt over saying this. My daughter's inquisitive and brutal honesty Why are you so fat? Why do you smell? Oh. And when I say we can't afford something, she'll just tell me to work harder. Edit. This blew up a bit. I should state my daughter is the loving, caring sort but can sometimes be a bit insensitive. Just like any other child. These instances are few and far between. She makes me laugh daily with the things she says. I consider myself blessed. I'm fat. I've lost 2 stone in the last 3 months. I plan to lose more. My daughter may or may not be responsible. I smell like a manly man. Unless I've just finished work. Then I smell like a manly man who's just finished work. My daughter has a point. Until I hit the shower. Ask me every morning if I'll even try to smell good that day. Cut and colored my hair one time for my birthday. Went from waist length brown hair to shoulder length blonde. Drastic change. But I loved the results. My daughter wound up hating it and kept asking why I did it and couldn't I at least color it back to brown and grow it out. My son liked it and kept saying I looked pretty. But damn, my daughter's intense dislike really crap on my parade. It still does every time I go for a touch up. I'm a little late to the thread, but my daughter hurts my feelings bad in just one situation. I'll say I love you, and she'll reply with, no daddy, I don't love you. She is only 2 though, and I don't think she has a firm grasp on what love really is, and I think she's truthfully just showing off her vocabulary skills, but it still hurts. I remember my dad thought he was going to drive me to San Antonio to drop me off at the military entrance processing station, but my girlfriend at the time did it, and I just watched my dad look super sad at the gate while we drove away. Context, I share 50/50 custody of my girls, ages 4 and 5. Their mom and I were never married, but did live together until they were 2 and 3. We live in a tiny town, 2 blocks from one another, and get along great. Dad's answer, we want to go to mom's, because she is more fun. Mom's answer, we want to go to dad's, because we like his house better, was their original home. Both of us answering, why can't you two just live together? Then we wouldn't have to miss mommy or daddy. I spent thousands of dollars in court to stand up to my ex-wife so my son could attend an internship his senior year. He didn't finish the internship, accused me of never supporting him, and then went to live with his mother after he graduated because he wanted to smoke weed, forgetting the experience he learned during his internship. My ex just recently moved an hour and a half away, so things are touch and go with my son right now. But he will regularly say how much he wants to spend time at her new place when we are spending our time together, or repeatedly ask to have sleepovers at her house when he first comes back. I know he loves us both, but dang that cuts deep. When my kid says over and over again that she wants her dad to put her to bed instead of me, gee, thanks, I'll just go sit and read a bedtime story to my C-section scar instead. My kids are 19 and 15. This year they didn't even acknowledge me for Father's Day. For the most part. My wife didn't either. You know who did? My 8-year-old nephew and niece. Made me feel pretty crappy. I'm a stepfather. 3 girls 3, 7 and 8, and their dad isn't around at all. He sees them for an hour every 3 or 4 weeks, when he can be bothered. They are my life and I love them, and they always say I'm the only dad they care about. But when he shows up randomly with loads of gifts and buying their love, it all goes out the window. It's I love my daddy. Daddy, you're the best. And did you see what daddy got me? I know they are just children and I know they are just sucked into the false pretenses he gives. But it makes me hurt when it happens. It's crazy to be jealous, I know. But I just want them to myself. Especially when it's clear he has no interest in them at all. I bring them to school. I pay for their trips, their parties, their clothes, their food. I go to their gymnastics lessons and watch their plays. I do that crap. Man, frick that guy. When dad is referred to as the fun one and I'm the hardest. No, I don't want you. I want dad. Also, when my 2-year-old won't call me anything, he tries saying Baba for his brothers and occasionally try to say their names and Dada/Daddy for dad. He said mom once in the past year. It also hurts when he goes to his dad for comfort, even if I'm already there. It hurts my feelings that he speaks so highly about his dad. Hear me out. God bless my 7 years old, and I feel so bad even saying this, but his dad hasn't called him since the day after his day back in May, has called him 3 times this year, and hasn't seen him since February. His dad also stopped giving me money for our son 2 years ago. I'm all alone and work full time, but I don't miss a beat. I get little sleep and have not done anything for myself in a very long time. Sun up to sundown is non-stop work, and I don't mind being a mom. I'm lucky I have work ethic and love raising my little family. His dad hasn't had a job or a cell phone in 2 years, and he is currently squatting in our mutual friend's house refusing to leave. He owes me, my dad, his own mom, my son's grandma, and our mutual friends so much money it's ridiculous, and when he was in our son's life he would just make my job so hard. He'd be the "don't worry buddy, your mom is a bitch. You did nothing wrong, let's go play video games" guy whenever I tried to parent, causing my son to not take me seriously. My son goes to therapy now and is in the Big Brother program, and I've been told by teachers, friends, and therapists that my son is suffering from having a toxic male role model, and now he's suffering from abandonment by that toxic male role model. My son deserves so much better, yet he still thinks the sun shines out of his dad's ass. He brings up his dad every day. "Mom, dad's hair is so cool, right?" "Yeah, buddy." He is constantly talking about his dad being a great guy. He even excuses his dad for not calling him for months by saying he's just sick. It's okay, I'm not mad at him, but I'm so mad for my son it is slowly killing me. I called his dad in June, and when he answered I said, "Why haven't you called your son? He asks about you every day," and he yelled because he's stupid and hung up on me. I would never do something like that. I can't go a day without seeing my son, let alone talking to him. It hurts me with how much my son loves his "can't do wrong" dad, and it just breaks my heart every day. Here I am, full-time job, paying rent on a 2-bedroom in a nice city so he can go to a good school and he can have his own room, feeding and walking his dog and bearded dragon that he wanted, buying him a Nuck and Christmas presents every year to compensate, putting a tree in my house with all the fixins because I'm Jewish, but my son loved celebrating Christmas with his dad. I even keep in touch with his family so that my son doesn't lose touch with them, and I arrange get-togethers with his family. I'm constantly trying to distract him from his dad's disappearance, and while I don't expect to get a thank you or praise, it sucks to have to sit through my 7 years old tell me what games he plays with his dad, and how cool his dad is, and how much he loves him. I know one day he will figure it out, but in the meantime, it's really difficult on me to hear every day. I cry a lot for him. Please don't turn out like your dad. I cry in private. My 6-year-old makes levels in Mario Maker that make me die too many times before I can beat them. Petty? Maybe. But I used to be good at Mario before he came along. Also, he prefers to watch YouTubers play games over me, despite having all the games they are playing. They're funny. Mommy feels like chopped liver. I gained 30 pounds after hitting 30. My daughter always asks me when the baby is due mockingly. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't really give a crap though. I'm single for life and I like tacos. Piss off, kid. Younger kids are the worst because they will just blurt crap out with no regard for that crippling self-esteem issue you've managed to build up over the past few decades of your life. Just an offhand comment about my hair or something can really hurt. Fight where they really try to hurt each other. I had no idea as a kid how bad it is for the parent. The first time it happened, when they were very small, it felt like watching cannibalism. Just horrifying. And to think I used to worry about the dog. 4-year-old daddy, I love you. Me thanks bug. I love you too. 4-year-old daddy, I love mommy more though. My oldest is a teenager and now he won't do anything with me, or tell me about his day, or let me help with anything, or even sit on the couch and watch a show with me quietly, or let me touch him at all. It sucks. I just want a hug from my kid. My oldest goes online to game, and sometimes he gets angry and calls people retarded. I'm 47 and though my school years in elementary I was called that at least 15 times a day by students. No friends because of that moniker. I have cerebral palsy, and I cry a little every time. I have a daughter, 12. We've always been pretty close, and in most ways we still are. We've always done everything together, but she's at the age now where friends, etc., are becoming more important. I'll bring up something we can do, like watching a movie that I think she'll like. 5 minutes in, she'll get a message from a friend, light up, and just disappear for the rest of the movie. Now, I get it. I'm sure I was like that too. I'm not gonna freak out about it or anything, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt my feelings a little now and then. Dads just want to keep dadding. I'm speaking from the kid's side, but sharing it because I was devastated the other day to hear my mom's side. When I was young, my brothers and I would tease my mom's singing voice every time we sang together. Church, scouting events, whatevs. From our side of things, it truly was done very lightheartedly. I loved singing with my mom. Her crooked voice was part of that love. A few days ago, I was driving with her. She's in her 70s. A great song came on the radio that I know she loves, and I started to sing along, asking her to join me. She did a little, but soon stopped. I asked her why she wouldn't sing with me, because I have a funny voice. Tell me they want mom instead. Whenever I cook a big dinner with a new recipe of something I thought my kids would love, my son will always tell me it looks bad, and he's not hungry anymore, and my daughter will follow with anything he says. Of course, 15 minutes after I eat alone and sad, they ask for chicken nuggets. Say you are going to do something like eat dinner with the family, and then blowing it off without even a text. Background: my ex left me for the proverbial younger woman. We had been married close to 25 years, about 6 months in, and I'm talking to my 20-year DD. She asked if I would date again, and I'm like, I think so, we'll see. And she said Dad finally found love. I'm sure you will too, Mom. It crushed me, absolutely cut me to the bone. I know she didn't mean it badly, but goddamn did that hurt. My youngest is 15 now, but has always been a daddy's girl. It's okay, I'm fine with it. I'm happy they have such a great relationship. I don't want to sound jealous here, but when she was little she used to say to me, I'm going to sit on your knee now for a cuddle, but when my daddy gets home from work I will be sitting on his knee. In other words, you're okay, but I prefer him. She always made it very clear I was just the one that looked after her until her real hero walked through the door. I don't even have kids. I read like 3 comments, and it broke my heart. I'm out. I didn't realize this until my sister started doing it. There's 7 years between us. My mum was a teacher, so when I had homework, it made sense to go to the teacher for help. I never asked my dad, because I didn't see the point. My sister starts school, and does the same with her homework. One night he said, I can help you with it, and my sister, who was about 7/8 at the time, walked past him and said, no thanks, I'll just wait for mum to get home. He looked really upset. I think it was the assumption we thought he was stupid. We didn't, or we didn't want to spend time with him. Not always true. When my toddler has a lot of tantrums at the moment, I appear to take the brunt of it. She really seems to play up for me and give me a hell. It's a bit of a running joke with my wife and the grandparents. At times it makes you feel a bit down, but then I remind myself that she does it because she is utterly comfortable and secure with me, and knows she can push the boundaries because I'll always be at her side. Sometimes my 4-year-old says, we're not best friends anymore. It stings a little, but I realize she's 4, and like 5 minutes later she says, we're best friends again.